for a closer look at the details and goals of President Obama's American Recovery and Reinvestment Plan. I'm joined by Dr. Margo Thorning, Senior Vice President and Chief Economist for the American Council for Capital Formation. Dr. Thorning, thanks for being here. You had an opportunity to hear to Congress Micah what he had to say about this plan, and many of the Republicans who are pretty dissatisfied with where it's shaping up. What are some of the biggest concerns that you have?
I'm concerned that there's too much focus on spending and not enough on tax cuts. It seems to me the CBO report that you and the Congressman talked about suggests that a lot of the spending that's being talked about for infrastructure really won't get into the system anytime soon and won't have a major impact on job creation. I'd like to see more focus on cutting an array of taxes.
It's interesting. You do mention taxes. I've read a little bit about what you propose. Tell people what it is that you think we could do if, in fact, we were to agree to cut taxes for a couple of years, how you think that might stimulate the economy and get people out there to spend.
I'd like to see a cut of 20 to 30% in everyone's tax rate for perhaps a 2-year period. That would mean more take-home pay every month in everyone's paycheck. If people knew that the tax cut was going to extend for a long period of time, they would spend it rather than save it. Apparently, they did save a large portion of the tax rebate they got this past year.
How do you get that done, though, knowing that the fiscal budget deficit, or the federal budget deficit, I should say, is ballooning day by day? Is that really a possibility? Is that a reality?
I think a two-year tax cut would probably pay for itself in the long run. I'd like to see less focus on federal spending and put more of that money into tax cuts. For example, over the 2001-2005 period, we cut taxes 5 times, and according to research by Dr. Alan Sinai, that those tax cuts, which amounted to 2.5% of GDP in the year 2004, were responsible for a large part of the rebound that we experienced.
Interesting. What are the biggest strengths to this? What do you like about the initial plan that you've seen?
Well, I like the focus on some of the tax cuts, for example, payroll tax cuts and perhaps a $500 tax credit for individuals. I like some of the spending initiatives, but I think we ought to encourage the Congress and the Obama administration to look harder at how we can reduce taxes and perhaps keep permanent the reductions that the Bush administration made on dividends and capital gains. One last item is a temporary reduction on the repatriation of foreign earnings. There's about $500 billion sitting offshore that could be brought home, and that would be a private sector funded bailout to strengthen companies' balance sheets.
All right. Well, Dr. Thorning, we will leave it there.